I used to hate cheese, like detest it so much. Even the sight, the scent of it, maybe go... Indeed, if you've watched my videos long enough, you'll know that I've sort of slowly started to like it. And there are some cheeses that I've actually learnt that I either still hate, oh boy, there's a few of those. Blue cheese, feta, bleh. Sorry. But now there's some that I actually enjoy. So today's video, we're gonna do different cheeses. There may be puns. Not great puns. But yeah, different cheese recipes that I now know that I love, that I really wish I discovered sooner. We're gonna start off with mozzarella, which I've made homemade before, and I bloomin' love this stuff. Like literally, this is my favorite cheese. So I'm gonna be selfish, the first recipe. This is purely an indulgent thing that I love. Not normally for breakfast at 9 in the morning. So I'm just beating together some eggs, combining in a bowl some plain flour and corn flour, season it with some pepper. Oh, and these aren't just gonna be any mozzarella sticks. I blooming love Dorito crusted ones, but as you've seen before, we've done like cornflakes and stuff like this. So I'm gonna mash them up in the pack. Do this step carefully because there could be debris everywhere. Should have used that pun later, actually. When you get mozzarella in a slab like this is quite dry, and that's good. So if you're using a mozzarella ball and you want to do some little bites, it is best to drain that off with some kitchen towel, all right? So I normally show this scene from afar, and I sort of show you how we love the wet hand and the strong hand thing. And I've actually just added a little bit of water to my eggs as well. You see that it's like foamed up. I was a little bit worried that I didn't have enough. You can always add water if you want. Mozzarella is going in here, into here, a little spoon. I might end up doing it 3 times, but it's kind of like a way of cleansing it and getting it ready. Wet hand, straight into those Doritos crumbs. I've got this spoon here to help lift it on for that initial coating. Just make sure that it grips it well. That's fairly well, but we can see some gaps there. So we'll just keep repeating this, and they'll all be going on my wire rack. There we go, they're like 4 massive fish fingers, but there's still a couple of patches. So I've just whizzed up the remaining Doritos into a powder. That should hopefully cover all the gaps. So for example, this egg mixture, which now looks like a bowl of leftover cornflakes. Oh my word. And then just lift that dust. That's what we're calling it, Dorito dust, which I reckon they should sell actually. But I think that's like a really good comparison. Like look at the two there. You still got that crunch on there hidden, but this is patchy here, right? It could get a little bit Lionel Messi. Well, hey, good football pun there. But we're frying it 180C. Oh wow, look! Can you see the little mozzarella, little eyes on it, trying to escape? Don't want to do it for too long, all right? I'm putting it in because the oil's so hot for like 90 seconds. We're just trying to crust it, get it golden. Oh, here we go. Ah. Oh my word. Look at that. Ah! I've got some buffalo sauce here. I just blooming love that. I had it left over from the air fryer video. Oh, very good. There's something fun about mozzarella. What I like about it is it's just very milky, isn't it? Very mild. I did not have much cheese growing up as a kid because I just said, well, my mum, I just don't like cheese, sorry. So I just kind of avoided it. And it generally is through videos over the years. Oh, I'd like to open in my mind to like seeing if my taste buds have evolved or that I never really got the opportunity to try it anyway, just because I ruled out cheese. But there's a few that I like, and that's a safe start really. This next one is an amazing dinner. I might have just eaten most of that mozzarella stick. Anyhow, cheese number 2, hello. Is it me? Yeah, it's halloumi. I definitely don't like it as mozz, as mozzarella is so versatile, mozzarella, and indeed just like, I don't know, I just love mozzarella. Can we just do mozzarella recipes? Don't get me wrong, I like it. It just seems a bit more rigid, it's squeaky. You know, you can char it, blister it up, have it on skewers at barbecues and stuff. And sometimes even though this is a light version, it's still a little too salty, but hey, I do like it. I've really sold this one. Right, so this one we can get going with an oven, 180C fan, 200C gas mark, 6400 Fahrenheit. So just giving these a quick wash. There's something about a recipe where you can just dump it in a bowl and you just play with it here. I don't know, I just really like it. Maybe it's sort of part laziness, but I like the simplicity of it. If only we could bake bowls. Anyhow, this is some sesame seeds. This is actually something that we make often, honestly, it's nice. Garlic pepper and some peri seasoning. Give that a nice mix around so that the oil coats the potatoes and we get that coating all on there. But that's going into our preheated oven, get an exclusive time on its own for 20 minutes. I mean, I've made this, I'd say about 20 times, no joke. Certainly in the last few years. Yeah, so you can put in whatever you want really, and we will mix it in that flavour because we've still got the bowl to one side. So these are just some cherry tomatoes I've halved, and here is our halloumi. It's just weird, it doesn't feel like cheese, it feels more like, I don't know, rubber. Now another ingredient that I very, very rarely use, This is kale. It will stay like tough and slightly crispy, but it's a really nice combination of textures. All right, so that's just waiting there. I do remember having a halloumi burger once where the halloumi was the patty, just biting into it thinking, God, it tasted like what I'd imagine silicone. You know, when you like silicone something, like really like gummy. I remember it being squeaky too. Now there is a recipe coming up later where some people actually like to slice up halloumi and use it in small pieces as an alternative to croutons. We are doing a soup. I have taken a piece out of that. Peace out. I don't know if I'm going to do that because I don't want a squeaky soup, but we'll see when we get there. All right, we've got time to move on to our third one, which involves, well, what used to be called cream cheese, but in supermarkets now it's generally known as soft cheese. I don't actually know why. If anyone wants to tell me why down below, this is where you'll Google it and paste it and look like Einstein. That's fine, show off. I'd generally be interested to know. Now again, I've gone for a lighter version, which doesn't really tend to work so well in cheesecakes, which I think is actually the first time I was like, yeah, I quite like cream cheese. I'm still calling it cream cheese. There are some well-known brands that do like crazy flavors with like sweet chili and things all mixed in. There was chocolate ones too. Even the supermarket owned brand ones have like pepper or herbs, things like that, which would be good. I just wanted to go for a lighter one. We're having a lot of cheese. But actually for the amount you get in a supermarket owned brand, you tend to get, this is like cheap versus steep, you tend to get almost like a third more. And it is like no joke, nearly a third of the price with a third more as well. It's an absolutely bonkers difference. But again, a little bit like mozzarella, I find it proper versatile. So we're just gonna do a little appetizer today where this is gonna get encased in some good stuff. Some jalapenos. Hang on a minute, my potatoes might be ready. God, they're roasting well. There we go. Look at that color, that looks amazing. It's so vibrant. So 20 minutes in there. But although we could have done a lovely cheesecake, we are gonna fill these boats of chili. Imagine there are some boats in Chile, just a guess, never been there. With the cream cheese mixture, okay? And of course, get it on your fingers and thumbs. That is a non-negotiable mandatory thing, okay? Oh, there's actually something really therapeutic about doing that. And again, it does make it really messy, but if you get it in there and then brush it along the edge of the chili using this curvature, it kind of goes flush for you. I like that. Over here, we have got some bacon rashers, okay? I've got 3 together. Squished them down to spread them apart a bit and then halved them because, well, these aren't actually that big. Just make sure that we get all 3 edges of the bacon over and wrap it over like so. We have got a bacon wrapped cream cheese that's not cream cheese filled jalapeno. Intentional mispronunciation. That's my USP. I've just found out if I put it face down like this and I roughly work out, you know, give or take where the middle of it is so that the seam is here and then lift the other side over. If we turn that over, you get like a really nice finish. So whereas my first one's got the seam on top and could go everywhere, like we've got these other ones here where they actually look quite neat now. So as one tray goes in, another one comes out. Look at that color. Blistered tomatoes, lovely golden charring on the halloumi. The kale is scorched as well. And the potatoes, well, they've already been in there. They are looking good. You know what, if I lived on my own, I don't mind saying this, and Mrs. B would 100% back it up. I would generally just eat out of a tray like that. I just would. Oh. It's so good. And the halloumi, what I like about it, whilst it's warm, you know, it's spread out, it's thinner. There's a little bit of a pull in it, but you get those charred ends that really add that flavor to it. So a little bit of balsamic on top is really nice too. But like just the specks of flavor on the potatoes alone, just like, it's really good. Right, should we check on our jalapenos? Woo! Oh yeah. See the sizzle? The only thing I'm going to say straight off the bat is you can see the one here where we left the seam open. It's kind of opened itself up like it's being hugged. But I guess one good thing about it being exposed is that the actual tops of it has started to lightly brown. So although we've got charring on the chili on the edges, which I really like, if it wasn't encased like it's supposed to be like these, I mean, these are great. But we could push it further and really bake it to get a nice sort of crust on it potentially as an alternative. I mean, you don't even need to wrap it in bacon then. Well, I said how I would like to eat on a tray, and I'm going to do that again for these. Look, I love how dainty they are. Look, look. Nothing is better. Anything wrapped in bacon is going to taste good. Yes. The smoky bacon definitely enhances it. The chili's still got a tiny bit of bite in there, but it's charred and slightly softened and almost like warm juices running through it. That is as close to having cottage cheese direct as I can do. Mrs. B likes having it on crackers. You guys are crackers if you like that. Well, of course. Personal taste buds, right? But I'm just getting the tail of it on its own there, just sort of coming out the ends of the chili. It's all right, it's just got this like crumbly texture, do you know what I mean? And I can just about tolerate it. And it reminds me very much of our next cheese. Some of you might refer to it as the goat. Greatest of all time for any old folks watching. I think I count as that now. Yes, this is goat's cheese. We're also putting Parmesan in with this dish, but the hub of it is goat's cheese, which I would normally never, ever normally touch. But we're gonna break it down. We're gonna mix it, effectively dilute it with different flavors. Something we didn't do with the cottage cheese. This does give me similar vibes to it. A delicate, soft goat's cheese, delicious on crusty bread. Well, so is another cheese. There goes the audition for that aftershave advert. So is another cheese, but surprisingly, in a bit. Let me taste some of this actually. Oh, I can just do it. It's similar to cream cheese, but I think like less watery, like more sort of clotted, thicker in some ways. But this is a dish we've made once or twice before. If we break this down with some other ingredients, get it all mingled together, it can make something very tasty and very quick indeed. So this is actually adapted from a spaghetti recipe, which is pretty much the same, except this is some bow tie pasta. I think it's called farfalle. It's 100% not pronounced like that, but I can't be bothered to Google it. Some chopped garlic, spring onion, grana padano, but you can also use Parmesan. And you can also add cream to this as well if you want to be cheeky. I don't feel like being cheeky today, I feel like being cheesy. I'm trying to do this in an intentionally bizarre order, okay? Spinach. Now, if I put spinach in that pan instead of kale, it would have like completely disappeared. This is a lot more wilty. And now we're gonna take that goat's cheese, okay? And I'm doing this proper rough. I'm just gonna hack it up a little bit with my teaspoon. Here is some vegetable stock. Now this is warmed, I did this about, 5 minutes ago with a stock cube. So that is it, everything is in here. Oh, down it goes onto a hob that has bizarrely, in some places, got random specks of Doritos crumbs. But all we're looking to do, say that stock is still fairly warm, bring this up to a simmer for about 15-20 minutes, basically to prioritize cooking the pasta, otherwise that'll have quite a bit of crunch. We'll wilt the spinach down, the goat's cheese, which is kind of hiding there going, whoa, what's going on? It's gonna get all blended together to make, well, our sauce. Goat. Or as my teenage daughter says, slay. At Christmas, I'm 100% using that at the dinner table. There's a clause in my dad joke contract. Thank you. I've simmered it a little longer, which does thicken the sauce a little bit. But you don't always want a thick sauce with your pasta. And then some more grated cheese on top. Oh yeah. The sauce will thicken up slightly as it cools. You do get that slight tang of the goat's cheese in there, that's it. But for me personally, I feel like that's probably one of the only ways that I can have it. But I know from experience, if that was like a more intense cheese, like a blue cheese or a Stilton, and I've had a taste of something like that in an Italian restaurant in a sauce, boy, you still get that punch. But I'm getting that delicate flavor. So it's not really direct goat's cheese. We've diluted our goat's cheese, but hey, if that makes me eat it, I'm all right with that, and this is gorgeous. I'm gonna take a little bit of a punt here and say this one could Brie the best recipe today, although that pasta was phenomenal. Yes, this recipe does use Brie, and I've only used this a handful of times, normally around, and nearly every recipe I've heard of, you'd slice it open, warm it up in the oven, all gooey. I find it really strong and intense. Like the circus, that's not a cheese pun, don't count. But like sometimes you put fruit on it and nuts and honey and all that stuff, brilliant. However, this is chilled, but we can potentially make something called whipped Brie. Unbelievable. Hey, you know what his favorite band is? The Brie Gees. Sorry, but with the help of just a few ingredients, we are potentially gonna make Brie garlic bread. Yes. I was early in the supermarket this morning, and Shibata believed that I got this for a reduced price. We have got enough for two, because now this is our canvas. And there's nothing wrong, we're not gonna do this. You could actually put that back on top and make a massive garlic bread sandwich. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Edam. All right, I don't know if I can craft any more Gouda cheese puns, but look, isn't that weird how the butter, now that it's softened, does look like stereotypical cheese with the holes in it. 20 seconds in the microwave if you're interested, and that was from cold. If you overdo it, you're gonna end up with basically runny butter, which will not be good. So here comes some freshly chopped parsley, 3 garlic cloves that I've roughly chopped. Mixing this together is basically homemade garlic butter. We've done this a few times. We can absolutely smother this half. Did you hear about the cheese that painted his wife? E double Gloucester. Oy, that's a good one. There we go, look, so it's got the rind on it. Can we take this off? Not really, in fact it does tell me to cut it off. I can now kind of like get it into little pieces, and this is 100% much more the texture of Play-Doh than cheese right now. But we've got to blend it up. I have no idea what this is gonna do. Oh my word, it's made a little ice cream ball. Oh, that's better. It's sort of all like fluffy. So as I place this on the baking tray, I am gonna bake it with just this on it. In it goes. I can't help but think that we're gonna put some honey on it anyway to serve. And I have had honey with Brie before, that works really well. So as the garlic bread bakes, I can't help but think, if we're gonna drizzle it in honey anyway, why don't we just put like a little squeeze, like maybe half a teaspoon of honey in with it. Oh, that has definitely, oh yes, definitely made it more spreadable. So you can actually see it is whipped Brie. That's what it's supposed to be like. And that is very spreadable now. And there it is. It's actually charred the garlic gorgeously. There's a huge trail of butter running down the tray. It smells really good, but I feel like it's definitely missing some cheese. I'm missing some sort of gooey cheese pull on that. And we're not gonna get it with the whipped Brie. So what we do is put dollops of the Brie. I'd like to have baked it on it though, to be honest. And I've just got a feeling some of you guys are gonna tell me to have done that. I mean, we could spread it all over, but I do kind of like the idea of blending it a little bit. So not that it needs it, it says to put a little bit more fresh parsley on top. And I did have a nice chopping board ready to one side for this, but hey, it's just stuck on the rack now. I might as well keep going. We're gonna bring back that honey and drizzle it all over like so. That's gonna soak in. And I'm quite convinced this should taste pretty darn good. That does look absolutely exceptional, to be fair. I'm loving the colors on it. But what I'm gonna do actually, I'm gonna halve it and we'll put, because I think some of you are gonna wanna see what it looks like baked. Because I don't know, for me, garlic bread, the cheese has got to be, I was gonna say the cheese has got to be cheesy. It's got to be like gooey, you know? Oh, good. There's an intensity with Brie, isn't there? It's almost got like bitter alcoholic vibes to it sometimes. Almost like an extremely thickened melted mozzarella, but with like a beery hue to it. And despite the intensity of that garlic flavor in there, it is the Brie and the honey. You can really taste the honey cutting through both the Brie on there and the drizzle on top. That is the max flavor. Ooh, can you see how that has melted on there? Mmm. Oh, wow. Obviously we dressed it in honey, but I didn't do it again then by serving, but that honey has seeped into the ciabatta. The whole thing has kind of lifted another 20% in doing that. Wow. If you told me around 2 years ago that I would be eating Brie, I would not have Brie leaved you. And that's absolutely, I know that was a pun, but that is absolutely legit. Like, it's crazy how your taste buds change, but like I say, it's not the whole thing straight up. So even like, again, like melting it then, that was so much smoother. It took that harshness away. I got to save some potentially for dunking in our last one. The last recipe, which also has the Swiss Gruyere cheese, I have a pun for that, but we're not doing it, has both Gruyere and cheddar cheese and can also be easily switched to just like a dip if you wish, but we're gonna make a soup. And we're gonna use stout. Oh, I have got pretty good at pouring a decent dome on there. So for the soup, we're gonna grate in some cheddar. They used to mature the cheese in the caves. In fact, they still do if you do a little tour thing. Very, very cool place. And Swiss Gruyere cheese, which to me actually has that same sort of taste as the Brie in some ways. Kind of like this sort of beery infusion. When I went on holiday to Switzerland last year, we actually passed through Gruyere, although it's Gruyères, it's got an S on the end, and it was a very, very picturesque. And then I also got a really cool picture of a cow. So not only am I excited to try this recipe, I can say that I've legitimately been to both of the places where these cheese originate. That's pretty cool. But the Guinness, the stout, or the beer, you can use beer if you want. You can even use like apple juice if you want. Has got to go in at the same time as the milk, so we might as well combine it into some sort of weird milky concoction. Into this pan, we're gonna add some flour, butter, salt, onion powder, garlic powder, cayenne pepper. I've been to none of those places. There are many, many ways to do this. We're gonna put some onions in a minute, and I've already chopped them to one side, and you could blister those up first if you really wanna drive that charness in. But for the minute, we are just melting down this butter, cooking the flour and herbs together. There we go, beautiful. So we're gonna add some fluid in. Just with this first batch, I'm gonna whisk that in. Oh, that's strong. You forget that there's Guinness in there. I'm gonna add in my onion, and I've got a few florets of broccoli there. Probably like gonna do this like in 4 batches, first of all, just for the milk and beer mixture. So that's all added in. It's starting to thicken up a little bit, but we do still wanna make it a little thinner, especially with the cheese going in. We are gonna add in some Worcester sauce, some Dijon mustard. Are we just doing a geography lesson in food? Dijon, Worcester. This is some more vegetable stock. So I guess Stockholm, Sweden. Am I starting to throw darts again? I love the islands of broccoli, not a place, and onion that are floating to the top. Again, if you asked me a few years ago if I could grate and even like be near cold cheese like this, and the Gruyere, which is quite expensive, but as I found out in Switzerland, well, everything is. But in goes both the cheeses. A good old seasoning of pepper, and for a touch of richness, I mean, not that it needs that anyway, single cream. Like I said earlier, if I lived on my own, I'll just eat out of a pan or a tray. I'm gonna serve my soup in a saucepan. The great thing about this though is you can make it as thick or as thin as you want, so you can still kind of get those donkey vibes. And that's why I'm pouring out less broccoli and onion now. Obviously we could simmer it down a bit more too, but I want to dunk our garlic bread from earlier in there too. Well, I could actually go down some crazy avenue now and get out all the cheese that we've had today. Just end up calling the video Will It Crouton. If you remember, we said about halloumi croutons at the start. So there they are. They sort of still stay still a little bit. But how about mozzarella croutons? Would you like some more cheese with your cheese soup? I have been fed very, very well today. Here we go. Soup only first of all. Damn, that's good. I didn't say edam. It's just a really mild, warm, cheesy hint in there with all the stock, the milk, the stout, Worcester sauce, the mustard, everything. It's just really good. Should halloumi be a crouton? Oh, it's squeaky. It's almost got like poutine vibes, how you've got something warm with like a squeaky cheese in it. I don't hate that, and that's dangerous. But just when you thought you couldn't get any more cheesy, it's dunked this in. So now the Brie, oh my word. Oh, wow. Wow, 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 wow. If there is one word about today's video in total, it's not cheese, it should be, it's depth. It is the depth that every cheese, every flavor brings, and just by adding it in different ways, making it the style of the recipe in some ways, making it blend with others or dilute or merge, whatever, it really does add something. They've got own characteristics. Of course, there are so many other cheeses I could have picked. Many of which there are obvious reasons why I didn't. But I hope you enjoy these recipes today that I genuinely wish I knew about sooner because, well, I would have made them and bloomin' loved them. Right, a lot of washing up to do. I'm gonna go for a big old run, say 2 minutes. Thanks so much for watching. Cheers, see you later. Bye. I could have done so many more puns, but at points I was like, I need to stop. Maybe I should just do a video just purely on cheese puns. It would be, don't say it, Gouda.